Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on June 21st appointed new service chiefs after he retired the former in a bid to reposition the security architecture to battle insecurity in the country. In a decisive move to aim at addressing escalating insecurity in Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu relieved the service chiefs inherited from President Buhari administration of their appointment and replaced them with the new ones. It is perceived as a move to re-engineer the nation's security architecture, aimed at refocusing the battle against insecurity and easing the daunting challenges of the country in facing that regard the appointment of the new service chiefs, which also marks a significant turning point. But according to many Nigerians, learning the lessons of the past is necessary to ensure that these new leaders possess the requisite coordination, ability, vision, and commitment to protect the lives and property of the citizens of Nigeria. The 2023 Global Terrorism Index ranked Nigeria as the 8th most terrorized country globally, while in 2022 dropping from its 6th position in 2021. Joining me to talk about this, of course, is the security expert Dickson Osagie, of course, who joined me through phone, and in the United Kingdom, Olabode Oseni, who is also a public affairs analyst. Of course, in the course of the show, we have former DSS Director in Lagos, Seyi Adetaya, who will join us in the course of the show. Good day, gentlemen. Let me start from you, Mr. Olabode. Can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Olabode. Okay, so Mr. Dickson, if you can hear me, I want to ask you, can you hear me, Mr. Dickson?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, so first of all, let's look at, do you think that what President Tinubu has done in appointing the service chiefs is the right peg in the right hole? Let's start from there first.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon and happy weekend, Nigerians. It's a good development having a new president, in person of President Bola Tinubu, having his own service chief, his own command system, because it has been the ritual as each president comes on board and have their own service chief, those they believe that can work with them in line with their vision, and in line with their vision. So the new service chief are welcome on board, and I think the president made a very fantastic selection. All the generals are battle tested. Their genotype is soldiering. Their blood group is combat. And right from Lagbaja, the chief of army staff, the chief of defense staff, army, naval staff, and air staff, they are all guys that have been putting on the military boots in the past 40 years. So they understand what battle assessment is all about. They understand what the officers and men are going through in the battlefield. They understand the risk Nigeria is being faced with. They understand the threat Nigeria is being faced with. They also understand the multidimensional security threat Nigeria is undergoing right now. So what matters mostly now is for them to carry out an effective application of their military strategy, what they've learned over the past 40 years in their military career. For me, I think what I'm going to advise them, the first thing, my first advice to them is for them to be very, very ruthless and heartless to the state, to the enemy of the state. Because if you go to the southeast, northeast, northwest, and every nooks and cranny of Nigeria, you will discover that most of this enemy of the Nigerian state are ruthless and heartless. So this is where necessary evil comes to play. So this new service chief must apply necessary evil against these wicked enemies of our dear nation, Nigeria, and they must be ruthless and heartless. So that is my advice for the new service chief. And I also appreciate President Bola Tinubu for these fantastic steps, because I am so convinced that the President Bola Tinubu-led administration will take Nigeria to its promised land.
Okay, I still want to stay with you. This sounds more like a ritual that we have in the Nigerian governance system, where a new sheriff comes in town and, of course, change the service chiefs to suit their own agenda. What do you think this implication might be for our governance?
Well, it's like Ladi said, it seems like a ritual. Most people say that, well, it's just initial, like a local balance, initial gra-gra. For me, I do not believe it's initial gra-gra because one thing our leaders have failed to understand, that is, I'm talking about the CEC, the previous CEC, they failed to understand that they have voted into power to take Nigeria out from the state of insecurity. I listened to your brief talking about the global terrorism index, the position we are presently in the global terrorism index. I tell you for free, that's not a good position to be. If someone would ask how is Nigeria doing, then they will say Nigeria is doing negatively well in the global terrorism index. If you go into the global terrorism database as well, the number of people being killed in Nigeria is disturbing. Go into the global peace index, Nigeria is one of the, as of 2022, Nigeria is in the 150 something or so most peaceful nation. This tells you that we've allowed the state of insecurity linger for so long. Would you blame? Sometimes people say you have to blame the military. Sometimes people say you have to blame the president. For me, I think I will blame the military because the military are solely responsible for the internal and the external, for protecting Nigeria from internal and external aggression. Internal aggression in the sense that those who sit in our own territory and make our own territory ungovernable are internal enemies. As it stands, Nigeria is not even suffering from external aggression. What happens if we have an attack from nations that surround Nigeria or nations of the world coming to attack Nigeria? That's not the case. What we're suffering right now is internal aggression, who tells you that some group of criminal elements, taking some territory to their own hands, killing Nigerians every day, videoing their action, putting it on the internet. Those are the internal aggression we are being faced with. And if we are being faced by internal aggression, that tells you that the battle is going to be systematic. Because if the military wants to go on a full-blown war, that means innocent lives will be eliminated. So how do you attack such kind of aggression? You need to apply systematic approach, and that's where counterinsurgency comes to play. Most people think military might alone will eliminate terrorism. No, it can never. Till eternity, military might will never eliminate terrorism. The only thing military might will do, they will keep on killing, and they will kill till eternity. So the new service chief must integrate counterinsurgency, their counterinsurgency approach with the people's might, political might. That's what we talk about, political might. We need to know what is the problem, where are these guys getting their fighters from, their enlistment methodology. I will tell you for free that mostly like Boko Haram in the past years, their enlistment methodology is they're just capitalizing on vulnerable Nigerians, the jobless Nigerians. Sometimes as an adage I say the jobless man or an idle man is the devil somewhere else, devil workshop or so. So for me, the military needs to look at the political problem as well and also look at the security challenges. Then apply what we call an enemy-centric approach. That is, go after this enemy, decimate them by day, hit them so hard by night, be very, very ruthless against these guys so that they will not find the Nigerian space governable for themselves, where they are taking shelter from.
Okay, let me bring in public affairs analyst and talking about Olabode Oseni. Mr. Olabode, let's contextualize this particular issue. Some persons will say when the president appointed these new service chiefs, they want to put into the federal character probably where this person is from, where this person is supposed to be from here. This particular person is supposed to come from this particular region. Do you think that the president have actually, demonstrated that particular power in trying to make sure that the unity of the country also is being sustained by appointing these service chiefs from the 6 geopolitical zones of the country? Mr. Olabode Oseni.
Can you come again? The line is like funny again.
Okay, so I was saying that I wanted us to contextualize the issue at hand. Some persons have said, okay, did the president really went around, in picking the new service chiefs from the 6 geopolitical zones of the country and in the spirit of the federal character. Do you think that the president have actually done this to make sure that the country is united in its front to fight the security challenges that we have in the country?
Thank you very much for having me. Ordinarily, the issue of federal character, even though it's specified in the Constitution of Nigeria, it shouldn't normally be the major area of parameter to be used to pick up on the quality, the kind of people that can do the job. I also believe that it's the commander-in-chief that has the prerogative to pick on people whom he believes he can work with. Federal character, again, when you're talking about security, security is the most important part of governance because specifically specified in the Constitution that life, property, and so on and so forth come first. And so when it comes to the issue of security in Nigeria, especially what the federal government of Nigeria, what the government of Nigeria has to contend with many years back now, the issue of Boko Haram and some other local problems and so on, I would have thought that this time around, the capacity, the ability of the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, should be what he should use to pick on different service chiefs in different areas. And I think he's done that. Looking at the selections of the people he already lined up, they are of very good character. I think they are very good. They have done very well in their line of occupation. I mean, and really and honestly, all we just need to do now is just to take advantage of the National Security Advisor, Nuru, to seal everything up. And finally, what is also very, very important is the commander should start calling the shots. You should give the orders, tell them and say, you know what, this is what I want. It must be done. Whatever you need to make your job easy, you're going to get them. And I think that is what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done.
Okay, so I'm still staying with you, Mr. Olabodijo. You know, this kind of situation, because their job is basically to secure the country, and of course, it also linked to the fact that economy is involved, because when the state is secure, that's when investors can come into the country and probably put money into your economy. What do you think that we need to go from here? You know, now the president has said, this is my economic policy. But for us to achieve that, the security of lives and property must properly be put into play. How do you think we need to go forward from here?
Like I said, security is the key, it's the foundation of everything in any governance. That comes first. And as I said, the Constitution is clear on security when it stated that the property, lives, and so on must be properly secured. And I can imagine that investors from all over the world, even local investors, will feel happy, will feel safe if they have to invest in a secured environment. So at the initial stage, I don't think much money can be said that we cannot invest enough to secure security in a country like Nigeria with a vast land. But then again, I also want to use this opportunity to say that, yeah, we can spend so many billions or whatever on the security apparatus, but the most important thing is also the people, the local people, especially where the rampage of Boko Haram is going on. They also need to be secured. They also need to be educated. They also need to be backed up with social security, that they feel safe, that they cannot be just easily taken away by the marauders, the Boko Haram people. So yeah, we cannot overemphasize the need to have a secure environment, a secure area to make sure that security comes first, so investment can also be protected. If we have a loose security, obviously people from different kind of the world, give an example, he's presently in France or whatever, they will want to come and invest a dime of their money because they think invest the money today and tomorrow, Boko Haram or whoever insecurity people will just come and mess everything up. So security is key. It's very, very important. And I think it's going the right way. It's doing the right way to make sure that security is very, very important. It's key to good governance.
Okay, Mr. Dixon, you know, when Olabode Oseni was talking, talk about the fact that, you know, security is very important because it's the lifeline for any economy to thrive. And you look at what the president said when he assumed office, and said there must be an interagency collaboration between the Nigerian military. Looking at that, there's been much talked about that there needs to be an interagency, there needs to be a sharing of intelligence between these military arms of government. How do you think that we can best address this, looking at the current situation that the country is actually facing in security?
Well, that's a fantastic question, and I think I agree with the point Mr. Olabode made in respect of security being the topmost priority. You know, in life and anything we do, there's what we call a hierarchy of control or priority. You prioritize what are the immediate needs of the Nigerian people. Basically, the immediate need here in Nigeria, you know, without it's only the living that can, you know, clamor for, you know, economic and financial sustenance. So for me, I think security is the topmost priority, and that is where the military needs to understand that every amount the government spends in security, they must, you know, give us a return on it. That is where return on security investment come to play. ROSI, return on security investment. So no country invests on security and still have their people being killed like chicken, have their military being slaughtered like chicken by these criminal elements. So the military, first of all, must understand that the number one essence of, the number one reason why the new service chief and minister must understand that the number one reason why they have been appointed is for them to give President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and this administration return on security investment. What are the return on security investments? Nigerians should be able to move around without being intimidated or being coerced in any given location across board in the 923,000 square kilometers being our landmarks in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Nigeria must be able, you know, to trade and carry out their businesses without being intimidated or being kidnapped or being killed. Because as it stands now, we're having a lot of kidnapping, high rates of, you know, banditry and terrorism. So for me, the military must give us return on investment. Then coming back to what you said about intelligence, you know, when the president resumed office, you know, I was so impressed that his first place of visit was the counterterrorism center, where the former NSA gave him a brief about on what they've done so far in respect of that center. And the president told them very clear, loud and clear, that, hey, guys, nobody should be holding information anymore. This era is not an era for anyone to hold an information, you know, because the truth must be told. The service chief, the previous service chief, before the last one, there was no, you know, effective collaboration. I only discovered that the last service chief that just left now some few days back have more collaboration than the previous ones. That is the Burutai and General Sadiq's team. They don't have effective collaboration. And if service chiefs or agencies don't have effective collaboration, the Nigerian people will suffer. So anyone holding information should be looked at as a treasonable offense, because any information you hold could be detrimental to the survival of the Nigerian state. And that is why the Nigerian government needs to build a unified command center where all military, security agency, police, civil defense will all, you know, have their representative in that unified command center for information and intelligence gathering. Because when you get an intelligence simply means something new. You know, if, for example, there's a fight taking place in Oshodi, for example, and you are trying to inform TVC that there's a fight going on in Oshodi, you are telling them something new. And if TVC are already aware of that fight going on at Oshodi, it's no longer an intelligence. So intelligence simply means something new, getting to know the plan of the enemy. What is the plan of the enemy? What are they trying to do to decimate the structure of the Nigerian state? What is the enemy trying to do to demoralize the democratically elected government of the Nigerian state? That is intelligence gathering. Do not allow your enemy to gather intelligence on you and strike. And that is where counterintelligence comes to play. Because while we talk about intelligence, which has to deal with state protection, we should also be looking at counterintelligence, an approach in which you need to go and get the information or the plan of the enemy before they strike. If you don't have an effective counterintelligence network, this enemy will keep on striking the Nigerian state free of charge and put the Nigerians in a painful situation. So it's a good development and a good approach, and the president has made it loud and clear. No one has the right to hold information. Anyone seen or any agency seen holding information, the head of that agency should be arrested. Because I've seen some time ago why an information is out there, the army will release their own information, the civil defense will release their information, Navy will release their own, TSS will release their information, even LASMA will release their information, road safety will release their information. There's no unified purpose, no unified command. Any country that does not have a unified command control center, that country is not ready to protect its people. So as it stands, we need to have a unified command center so that we'll have an effective intelligence agency. Great nations of the world, America is an intelligence-driven nation. Great nations of the world, Russia, China, they are all intelligence-driven nations. Any country that is not intelligence-driven, the country is planning to fail. So we must not plan to fail, we must plan to succeed. And that is why this new service chief must see intelligence-driven, must see intelligence as their number one priority to protect the Nigerian state.
Okay, let me come to you, Mr. Alabodi. You know, it is sweet to say that, you know, we must have intelligence gathering, and those intelligence gathering must be very solid. But there's the aspect of the intelligence that you gather, the equipment that you need to process those intelligence is also very important. And for Nigeria, there is a poor aspect of, you know, equipment. How do we move from, you know, gathering those intelligence and having proper equipment that will process this intelligence that we have, that will make us, put us on the world stage in terms of properly harnessing the intelligence that you have gathered and properly, you know, disseminating it for the use of the people?
Thank you. The situation in Nigeria calls for a total overall of so many things. We need to overhaul so many things. There's a big rot in the country. That is the truth. As much as I have no doubt in my mind that this new government, the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is going to make a lot of difference in all what has been happening. Talking about hoarding information, like my colleague in the studio said, I also said that in order to achieve a good harnessation of information that the military chiefs or this department need, this agency need, is also to have also back up the people. The people, you cannot just isolate the people from good basic things of life. They don't have light, they don't have water, they don't have good housing, they have no education and many other things. They are so susceptible to the let's choose the Boko Haram people. They come there and then they can buy them away with 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira. You must have prepare your people in such a solid way. The comparison that in America or in other civilized places is because the ordinary man, I live in the UK. If there is anything going on that I need to report to government, I will not be asked. And nobody can just come and give me chicken change, not to say, not to give the information to the authority. We don't have that. And I do appreciate that. That could also be a part of the problem that the government needs to look into. And that's why I used the word last time, the multitasking of this government cannot be too much. Government must start using all the octopus hands to make sure everywhere is being touched. There's no part of government cannot be done in isolation. You want to bring everybody on board at the different level, at the different things, do different things. The service chiefs cannot succeed if the foot soldiers are not well taken care of. the equipment that we are talking about is not going to be properly utilized if we don't have trained, skilled soldiers. So all these are the things, it's not going to be overnight. But like the way things are coming out to me, I think this government is going to do everything possible to make sure that all these areas are harnessed, are put together in order to work together in clockwise. So just the gap is not going to be too much. But as it is now, there's a big gap. An average Almankeri or somebody in this rural area who has nothing can just be taken, can be bought for peanuts. All that has to be, government need to bridge that social efficiency and everything. Without that, the result might be challenged. And like we all agree, we cannot afford to let a big deficit, a big gap between governance and security. Otherwise, the investors might not be secured, and even ordinary people will not be secured. It's just a good example of some area where the Fulani people, according to information, I'm using the information, where they go to farmers, to go and kill farmers, rape people, go and do sort of silly things. All that has to be gradually eliminated by making sure that the fencing and the security of that area is tightened up, is beefed up. So it's the only way to solve the problem. We can spend billions in buying latest equipment from America, from Germany, from everywhere. But like I said, if the soldiers, if the people around are not supporting that effort, it might not help all that much.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're still talking about the task ahead for the new service chiefs, as, of course, they take the stand and work towards the agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We'll be right back.